Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. The Warriors need a rim protector, a big one, and a good blocker. If Kristaps Porzingis is available for trade, he's an elite option. This series of articles takes 5 shots at predicting trades that will go down at the 2025-26 NBA trade deadline. The first one addresses the Jonathan Kuminga situation and how the Atlanta Hawks could take a swing at the distressed wing. Kristaps Porzingis. All 3 of the players in this trade are getting little to no run right now. Jonathan Kuminga is a nightly DNP because of the well-documented issues between him, Steve Kerr, and the Golden State Warriors organization as a whole. Buddy Hield is a sharpshooter who hasn't shot well this season. And Kristaps Porzingis has been dealing with a mysterious yet serious illness all season, and was just recently diagnosed with Achilles tendonitis. So if this trade takes place, no one is sacrificing any current production. Why trading for Porzingis works for the Warriors? The Warriors, more than anything right now, need size. They definitely get that in Porzingis. Golden State has leaned into the use of Quinton Post much more than they probably would have liked to up until this point. That's not because Post is a particularly awesome player, but because a stretch big at the center position pairs well with Draymond Green and the rest of their scheme. That line of thinking is also likely why they brought Al Horford in this past offseason. So, upgrading Post to NBA champion Porzingis would greatly help their chances of performing well in the playoffs this season. The risk here, obviously, is his injury history. But if all the Warriors are giving up is Kuminga and Hield, who don't play anyway, then the team can carry on as is, let Porzingis get fully healthy, and incorporate him slowly before the playoffs. With his contract expiring after this season, if his health problems persist, they can just free up their cap sheet for the offseason and they're rid of Hield and the Kuminga mess. If he works out, they can re-sign him to a short contract. That flexibility and the way in which Porzingis can raise Golden State's ceiling is worth a swap down the line. Warriors' Steph Curry makes basketball history with NBA All-Star voting results. Stephen Curry is one of the all-time greats. On Monday, the Golden State Warriors legend earned some more proof of that when the NBA's All-Star Game starters were announced. The Western Conference has Curry voted a starter as part of this group. Stephen Curry, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama. The actual format features a US versus World component, so Curry won't necessarily play with that group, which features a Slovenian, a Canadian, a Serbian, and a Frenchman along with the Akron, Ohio-born Curry. Regardless, he made history. Curry is the oldest point guard ever chosen as an All-Star starter, according to Polymarket Hoops. He's 37 years old and will turn 38 in March. Curry remains exceptional. This season, he's averaging 27.6 points and 4.9 assists per game. He's shooting 38.6% from beyond the arc and 93.1% from the foul line. The NBA's all-time leader in three-pointers and in free throw percentage remains unlike any player the league has ever seen. And in the All-Star game, he'll show the whole world just how true that still is. Warriors' Jonathan Kuminga trade stance looks clearer after DeAnthony Melton's surge. When ESPN's Shams Charania and Anthony Slater reported on Thursday that the Golden State Warriors were prioritizing expiring contracts in a Jonathan Kuminga trade, there was a collective groan from fans on social media who want the franchise to make more of a win-now move. But perhaps the front office's stance can be better understood in relation to DeAnthony Melton's long-term future, with the veteran guard quickly rising to one of Golden State's most important players following a stunning surge in form over recent weeks. Warriors may pursue expiring contracts to re-sign DeAnthony Melton. Valuable players the likes of which could greatly improve the Warrior roster usually don't make it to an expiring contract. They're good enough that their current team does everything they can to ensure they don't hit free agency. So when fans get frustrated by the idea of the Warriors pursuing expiring contracts, it's because it tends to suggest the return in a Kuminga trade will be fairly underwhelming. The likes of John Collins, Nikola Vucevic, Colin Sexton, Jusuf Nurkic, Rui Hachimura, Kevin Huerter and Robert Williams III are all on expiring contracts and are players who, while they may help Golden State's rotation to some degree, aren't necessarily true difference makers who will catapult the team into genuine championship contention. Taking on expiring contracts would give the Warriors flexibility though, and perhaps enough to re-sign Melton who, based on current form, will almost assuredly turn down his $3.7 million player option for next season. Golden State are plus 148 in Melton's minutes over the last 15 games, a stretch where they've gone an impressive 11-4. Despite being the 9th highest paid player on the team this season, the 27-year-old is quite clearly becoming the 4th most important player. Melton has looked like a $20 million per year player in recent weeks. Even if he took a discount to remain with the Warriors, it's hard to see that being anything less than the non-taxpayer mid-level exception. If Golden State trade for a star, particularly someone like Michael Porter Jr. who's making $40.3 million next season, then they'd be essentially admitting that Melton is walking in free agency. Therefore you almost have to include him as part of the trade package, even though he'd remain for the rest of the season. Perhaps that's fine and a move the Warriors should still make to ensure they give Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler and company the best possible chance to compete this season. However, Melton's future is also a key reason why Golden State may only end up taking back expiring money in a Kuminga trade, as much as that may frustrate fans wanting the front office to make a far bigger move. Buddy Hield gives Warriors final reason to leave him out of Jonathan Kuminga trade. Everyone member of the Golden State Warriors was happy to see Buddy Hield capitalize on his opportunity against the Charlotte Hornets on Saturday night, which in itself may be the final reason to leave the veteran sharpshooter out of a Jonathan Kuminga trade before next month's deadline. Given Hield's limited on-court impact this season and diminishing role in Steve Kerr's rotation, there's very little reason not to use his $9.2 million salary in a trade. However, the love Hield has in the locker room, and the energy he brings to the team, may be enough for Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office to think twice about moving on from the 33-year-old. Buddy Hield's infectious personality might be reason enough not to trade him. Heading into Saturday's matchup, Hield had played more than 10 minutes just 3 times in the past 15 games. He'd also recorded 7 DNPs during the same period, having previously appeared in 120 straight games for Golden State, including playoffs, after signing in the 2024 offseason. The late absence of Jimmy Butler gave Hield rare rotation minutes against the Hornets, something he took advantage of as an impactful presence on both ends of the floor. That started on the defensive side where Hield remarkably had 3 blocks in just 3 first-quarter minutes, incredibly tying his career high for an entire game in the process. The 10-year veteran also made his mark in an electric offensively display from the Warriors, finishing with 14 points in less than 18 minutes on 5 of 8 shooting and 2 of 5 from three-point range. Combine that with his 3 rebounds, 2 steals and aforementioned 3 blocks, and it was one of Hield's best performances of the entire season to date. For as good as he was, there's no denying the fact Golden State have found a rhythm and their best form without Hield being part of the rotation in recent weeks. The Warriors are now 11-4 in their past 15 games, moving to 24-19 on the season and within touching distance of the top 6 in the Western Conference. Speaking after the game, Kerr spoke of the energy Hield brings to the team regardless of whether he's playing or not. While it may seem laughable to keep someone because of their character rather than necessarily their basketball ability, it might play a bigger role than many think. You only have to look at last year's midseason deadline where the Warriors chose to keep veterans Gary Payton II and Kevin Looney, rather than utilize their over $17 million in expiring contracts on another roster upgrade. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to what the Warriors do in a Kuminga trade. If they're acquiring a $30+ million player, Hield will very likely find his way out the door as well. Yet Golden State won't do that unless they're absolutely sure of who they're bringing in, leaving a chance that Hield remains with the team before the deadline. Hawks Anthony Davis pursuit gifts Warriors golden ticket to sneaky trade target. This could be an underrated move. The Golden State Warriors may no longer have any interest in a trade for Anthony Davis before next month's deadline, but the Atlanta Hawks' continued pursuit of the 10X All-Star could gift them a sneaky target to chase in the coming weeks. The Warriors could do with a center upgrade before the deadline, and perhaps Atlanta's interest in Davis makes young big man Onyeka Okongwu expendable enough for Mike Dunleavy Jr. and the front office to swoop in and take advantage. Warriors should look at trade for Onyeka Okongwu. While Okongwu is averaging a career-high 32 minutes per game with the Hawks this season, there has been some trade buzz on the 25-year-old in a recent report from Jake Fisher of the Stein Line last week. I was told this week, for example, that Indiana has called Atlanta on Onyeka Okongwu in addition to its previously reported interest in players such as Dallas Daniel Gafford and the, perceived as much harder to get, Ivica Zubac of the LA Clippers, Fisher wrote. There hasn't been anything linking Okongwu to Golden State specifically, but if he's at all available then that's a call that the front office needs to be making. Okongwu is averaging a career-high 16.4 points this season, while also adding 7.9 rebounds and 3.4 assists in 31 starts for the Hawks. Perhaps most importantly, the sixth-year big man has made himself a respectable three-point shooter this season, drilling 36.4% on over 5 attempts per game. Such a development is critical to a team like the Warriors who still need floor spacing in the frontcourt alongside the veteran duo of Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green. That's exactly why Steve Kerr has remained with second-year big Quinton Post in the starting lineup, though his still limited minutes proves the head coach still doesn't fully trust in the 25-year-old. Okongwu would provide an instant upgrade at the center spot, and perhaps his three-point shooting numbers are real enough for him to play big minutes alongside Butler and Green. Okongwu is making $15 million this season on the second of a team-friendly 4-year, $62 million contract. That puts him easily in the price range of a Jonathan Kuminga trade. Could the Warriors capitalize on the Mavericks' interest in their young forward? There is the framework of a 3-team trade that would land Davis with the Hawks, Kuminga and other salary with the Mavericks, and Okongwu to the Warriors. It's not the sort of huge move some Golden State fans may want, but it could be an incredibly underrated deal that delivers significant impact nonetheless. Golden State Warriors revival led by Curry, Green and Melton amid Jonathan Kuminga rumors. The Golden State Warriors are starting to look like themselves again, sharp, confident, and balanced, after a convincing win over the Charlotte Hornets that showcased their revitalized depth and offensive rhythm. Depth driving Warriors' resurgence. Stephen Curry admitted the team had little time to react after learning Jimmy Butler would miss the game for personal reasons, but the response spoke volumes. We were able to make our presence felt early. Buddy Hield came in playing some great minutes. It was by committee, he said after the wire-to-wire victory. That committee has turned the Warriors' season around. DeAnthony Melton poured in 24 points off the bench, continuing a run of form that has transformed Golden State's second unit from weakness to weapon. Without Jimmy, we just had to make up for that. Everybody stepped up, Melton explained post-game. Draymond sets the tone again. Draymond Green once again made headlines, not just for his shooting but for his leadership. They're playing gimmicky defense. I'm going to make them pay, he said after hitting 4 three-pointers. His energy has fueled a Warriors side rediscovering its competitive edge after weeks of inconsistency. Green later noted the team's identity has re-emerged since returning players regained rhythm. You're starting to see the team Mike Dunleavy put together, he said, adding that early injuries had hidden the roster's true potential. Kerr's rotation finally settling. Steve Kerr described the recent run as the rhythm they needed after months of lineup turbulence. With Golden State winning 7 of its last 10 games, the bench is delivering more than 70 points a night and hitting 20 or more threes in 3 straight contests, a first for this season. Outlook, a familiar rhythm returns. With Curry orchestrating, Green anchoring, and Melton adding spark, the Warriors are playing their most confident basketball since early 2024. Trade rumors around Jonathan Kuminga persist, but the on-court chemistry suggests Golden State's revival might already be underway without any roster changes. Next up, they face the Miami Heat, another test of whether this newfound flow can continue on the road.